If she had only been ugly.
Live from the Laugh Factory with my special guest, Todd Glass. This is Dom Irrera. Very excited to have him today because last time he brought David Spade with him, and I got to tell you,
he doesn't shut up.
why doesn't he learn to relax a little?
Thank you.
Can't he chill?
Oh, my God.
What do you think his blood pressure is, about 40 over 20? I never met a guy more. He actually, remember he was walking over here playing with something on the wall, and he said something that he thought was offensive. He goes, "Can I say that?" I said, "We can edit it out." He goes, "Oh, that's okay." I love that guy.
He's a very, if you meet his mom, that's, you know why.
Oh, she's like that?
She's very, yeah.
So, Todd, are you bigger than Wayne Cotter now? I mean, are you? You are, aren't you? Well, Todd and I go back a long ways. We go back to Philly.
Why is that so funny? Is anybody bringing up names from the past?
Because he was bigger than both of us at one time, and I think now, not so much. No, at corporate dates and stuff, but not like big like us. You and me. We showed them. You're bigger than Steve Young, too.
Oh.
Don't you think?
You know what I will say, and I won't say it about Wayne, but I do say this about anybody who was at one point, you know, things change. When they're, if I haven't worked with anybody in a long time and they were really nice when you were starting out, and then you thought they fell off the face of the planet, and then you find out, no, they're the executive producer of the
yeah.
You're like, you're happy. Right? You're happy for them. You're like, oh, good, because they were kind. I'd like to believe. But if it was the other way around and somebody wasn't, I'm not going to lie. I don't wish anybody ill, ever.
A little bit. little bit. Come on, a little bit.
Like, what type of illness would you say you'd wish on somebody? Because you're saying a little
fatigue.
bit. Fatigue.
Just chronic fatigue. Not cancer, not heart disease, not anything serious. Just
Can I tell you? I wish this wasn't videotaped because I know the way you make me laugh. Every time I'm laughing, I get self-conscious because I laugh like a hyena. You know?
No, it's good to see you laugh.
Fatigue, no, but I can't say I'm unhappy when maybe their career has taken a turn. I'm not talking about Wayne Cotter. I'm talking about overall anybody.
But you're implying Wayne Cotter. What's your beef with Wayne? Why do you?
The best, like, person that really knows how to twist it around.
Right, yeah.
Why did you come in? When you came in here today, oh, Jesus.
No, one time I saw Wayne I liked Wayne, you know. I mean, he was a little pompous, and he knows it. I mean, what did he go to Penn or something? He did something better than us. And he was such a terrible basketball player. Were you in the court that day?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, my God. We were in Atlantic City. We went to play ball. And you know how you take certain things for granted, like being able to stop? Just stop. When you're running and you stop. He couldn't stop. And he just kept going. And he was like going over hedges and scraping. We had to take him to the hospital.
Oh, sounds like me.
No, you couldn't be that bad.
I'm not coordinated.
Really?
No, not coordinated at all. You know, only because I've known you so long. I don't know if I've told you this before, but to this day, like my 4 friends that I am friendly with from high school, you went on at the Comedy Cabaret, and
in Delaware?
It was in Westchester.
Really?
Yeah, I was hosting.
I don't remember that.
And you were at the point where I specifically remember thinking that would be a nice point to be. You know, obviously you liked better crowds when they weren't. You didn't like shitty crowds, but you were at the point where even if it was a shitty crowd, you were going to go up and you were going to do well. You weren't nervous, and I was very nervous. And then after you got off stage, you said, "Hey, thanks for bringing the crowd down for me." And I thought you were being nice because I thought that was like something you did. Like, you know, then we got in the car, my friends, they were probably 18 at the time. You were probably 27 or something, 28 maybe.
40, 50.
Whatever. No. You and you go, you said, they go, "Todd, no, I think he was like making fun of you." I said, "No, the MC is..." They go, "No, I think..." And not meanly making fun of me, but then later I went, "Oh, I think he might have been making fun of me."
Well, first of all, I should tell you, over the years, I've always loved you. I hope you know that. And I never bust balls of people I don't like. I really don't. I don't bother with them. So even though at times I may have seemed to be, you know, busting your chops, it was never out of anything but goodwill. It's just me, you know. If I'm affectionate towards somebody, I love to fuck with them.
Yeah, no, I know that now. And if we're gonna turn I've always felt the same way about you. Like I use you as an example a lot. Like people can learn to be funny, I guess, but you can't learn to have funny bones.
No.
Every fucking bone in your body is funny, which is fun to be around, right? That's who you like to be around, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. I mean, remember when you said to me, we're on the air in Miami, you says, you don't think I'm funny, do you? And I said to you, well, yeah, I think you're funny, not laugh out loud funny, but, and
you're not headlining funny, but like maybe if the headliner can't do the Thursday, right. You can fill it for the Thursday.
And I'm totally
and the Sunday.
fucking with you, and I told, because Paul said to me, because he goes, Todd Glass is in, you want to call in, you like him? I said, I love him. I said, I'd love to, bust his chops a little.
Young Ron, and
Paul and Young Ron.
Paul and Young Ron.
They're big down there, man.
Those guys are great.
Yeah, they're great.
Those guys are great.
Yeah. Ron.
We're out of stories.
Right. Me and you?
Yeah.
That's it?
We have nothing else.
Okay. That's our peak?
I don't know why I never played this club, but I realized something sitting here. It's really the perfect club. The way it's all
It's the
right
perfect
at
comedy.
you.
I love, what I love about it is you see everybody. Now, some people don't like that. I don't like doing my stand-up in a vacuum. I hate like a fucking big room, like a couple thousand people, and you can't see anybody. So basically, you're doing like an act for a camera.
Well, you know what? I agree. I like, if I had to put the audience at like 1% lit, 2%, all the way to 100% lit, I don't mind if they're 20% lit, but I don't want it completely bright either. I want people to be in the dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever I'm opening for somebody, because that's the only time I ever deal with that, with the spotlight.
Right.
Like Jim Gaffigan can go spotlight, that's it. He sees nothing, and I go, no, I need, because you know what? You ever have a joke? Maybe it doesn't get a big laugh, but you can see it. You can see it evokes a smile or a look of you. Not with you.
Of course.
I like to see the faces. I like to see the faces too.
Yeah, it's more fun.
Where are the cameras here? I'd like to know.
There's a camera straight ahead.
I like to pose. I like to do. Sometimes if I have a funny comment, I'll go like.
Yeah, mug a little.
I'll
like
mug
that.
a little.
Well, that's always it works every time. There's one over there, one over here, one over here. You see that one there?
Yes.
I don't know where the other one's. Maybe that one. I think that's a camera.
I don't know what you've talked about on the show before, but I never went, but I always wanted to. And you did invite me once, but I couldn't go. Your mom would make like food for everybody. Didn't she have people over the house for dinner?
Yeah.
And I used to always go, I want to go to that. And then you invited me once, I couldn't go. I think you invited me.
Of course I invited you.
Nah, I didn't want to make you look bad.
I didn't invite Steve Young. You know what he told me once? I'm in New York. He said, you're not ready for Philly. I was like, I'm already in New York. New York's kind of bigger than Philly. Not to put my hometown down.
But then you eventually came over to the Comedy Works.
He had a cape on. He had a cape when he told me this. A cape and like a Spanish, like some kind of, like a flamenco dancer would wear, some kind of hat with the tassels. He left me a card at Mark Vito's place a couple years ago. He did. He had a cape on. Do you remember any of that?
No, you're kidding, right?
He had a cape and a cane.
Oh, for his act, he did.
No, he was just outside. He was like, he came in to see acts at the comic strip.
He never wore a cape.
I'm telling you, he wore a cape.
Go down.
May God hurt Wayne Carter. Give him fatigue, chronic fatigue syndrome.
You're being very honest about that. You're like, no, you would never wish anybody like, no, nothing.
No, I wouldn't. I would
but
never.
But fatigue, you're being honest.
Just annoying.
Fatigue.
It's annoying. Yeah. You want to go? We're going to this great place. I don't feel like it. What do you got? I don't know. Just fatigue.
I don't know what it is.
I'm listless.
Oh, they don't know you put that spell on
They don't know that
them.
I wished it on them.
So they're constantly going, I don't know what it is. It's not.
Yeah,
the doctor goes on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the most annoying. What is it? He goes, it's like a 2.5, a 3.
But always there.
It's always there.
I never feel peppy.
Yeah.
I never feel like going, let's go.
Never.
Don't sit down. I'm always sitting down. Cher had something. I used to work with Cher. She had something that's really like a fatigue thing.
Really?
Yeah, I forget what it's called. It's some syndrome, that.
Did you, when you opened up for her?
Epstein-Barr, that's what it is.
Oh, yeah. I had heard of that, I think. What am I so afraid to say? I didn't know something?
Yeah, right.
I think I heard of that.
I'm sure I know it.
I'm pretty sure I heard a little bit about it.
I don't recall it to my present memory because I have so much stuff jammed in here. What were you going to say about Cher?
I'm always curious. The joke I always thought about her, I don't care plastic surgery or not. Can you imagine her going to a high school reunion? Like, look at her. Because she still walks into a room. She takes care of herself inwardly.
Right, all her fucking old hags and her.
Can you imagine walking in there? And it's like, what the fuck? Why does she get to be that? And look at us, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Did she ever talk to you when you opened up for her?
Oh, yeah.
She come in your dress, and did she have a good sense of humor?
She had a very good sense of humor. I love her. I mean, she's she's very quirky. She's been famous for a long time, so she's not. I mean, by any stretch, a normal person. And it's not her fault. I mean, she was 19 and she was singing "I Got You, Babe."
Some say we're having in
They say we're young and we don't know. I know a guitar player from that song. Mike Post would play guitar on that song. Do you know who Mike Post is?
Mm-mm.
He wrote all the songs for all the police shows. New York NYPD Blue, Law and Order, all them.
So he's rich.
Rich. He's so rich. He's got. When a guy's rich when they were going to take a jet to Philly and they bring out his wrong jet because he had 2 jets. You know Eleanor Kerrigan?
No.
She's a comedian. She worked at the store for years as a waitress. Eleanor's sister died, so I said, "Come on, we'll take you. Give her a free ride back to Philly because she wanted to see the family again." And we go there, and they're pulling this jet out, and I'm thinking, something's wrong. They're talking. They pulled out the wrong fucking jet. He had 2 jets and a prop plane, right? That's when you know you're fucking rich.
Every time I'm on and I'm sure most comedians, a lot, have flown on a private plane, not my own. But every time I'm on one, I think I can't really enjoy this because I know next week I'm going to be praying for bulkhead.
Yeah, right.
You know,
bulkhead. Ooh, what leg room? Well, when I opened Brad Garrett's Comedy Club, MGM flew us out there, and Manfrotati, Manfrotati was on the flight, and this fucking killed me. It was Manfrotati, Ray, myself, and a couple comedians I didn't know. And on the way back, Manfrotati's, they had China. It was complaining that the water that the coffee wasn't hot enough. And I'm thinking, fuck, instead of worrying about the coffee, you should be going, thank you, Ray. Thank you, Ray, for bringing me on this flight,
I always feel bad. I remember the first time was probably opening for somebody, and the pilot would get your luggage out of the car. And at first, I'm like, no. The pilot, my instincts started to go, this is the guy flying the plane. He doesn't. And then after like a year, you're like, oh, okay.
Who were you working with?
With David, with Spade.
Oh, yeah, you work with Spade, yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't done it. I haven't opened, about a year ago, Bobby Miyamoto, that son of a bitch. If you're out there, Bobby.
Yeah.
I used your one fill-in date, and then you swooped in there.
Is that what happened?
No. I was just, I'd done it
See, I like dirt on this show. If you can dirty it up.
Who can I give
Tell me
dirt
somebody
on?
you don't like.
There's not that many people. You're braver than me. When I see you, and I'm not going to mention names, no matter what you do, but you've mentioned names, and it makes me, when I hear it on the podcast.
Bobby Collins and Craig Shoemaker. I don't like them.
I heard them. You know what?
I would do anything I could do to hurt them in the business.
Just fatigue. Oh, in the business.
Yeah, no, I don't wish ill of them.
Just fatigue.
Fatigue, a little nauseous, maybe a little nauseous.
Oh, constant nausea. What?
I keep
What's wrong?
I don't know. I keep spitting up water. I'm nauseous.
Did you eat anything weird?
No, I'm just tired.
They have no idea. That's the
Yeah,
you can either make people have fatigue. It's like a superpower that you get, and people just sit around after you spelled it on them. They go, I've been literally nauseous for 2 weeks.
Really? Gee, I wonder how that could have been.
Yeah,
how that could have happened.
And it always leads back to if someone figures it out. Would be a good like a weird suspense thriller. Someone figures it out. They go, wait a second. The last time before you felt normal, you were with Dom Irrera. Yeah, and I think I pissed him off. And figured out, you can edit this out.
No, you know what's good about it is I love so many people that you really got to earn my hatred. I mean, you got to really work hard. And I tried with karma, forgiveness, and both of them have fucked me over so many times that, like even a little thing, they don't even know that there's jobs they didn't get because of me. Now,
what if you saw him at a party? What do you do?
I stay away from him. I don't talk to him.
You do? I always...
we wouldn't go to the same party anyway.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I'm going to go to a party Bobby Collins goes to?
Someone told me the Bobby... I love any Bobby Collins story because they're just... Well, they're Bobby Collins stories. That he went on stage and he opened up and he said... the owner, I can't do his voice. The owner, he called. I was supposed.
Shit.
I wasn't supposed to be working. He said to the crowd, he goes, and they called me about a week ago. No, they called me this morning. They asked me if I wanted to work. I said, look, any chance not to wear a tux? I'm there. So I think then the crowd, we're trying to figure out why that works.
Right.
And me and the other comedian discussing it went, do you think the crowd is like going, oh, is this guy like maybe he normally wears a tux. Is he like a
Maybe
bigger
he's
deal?
bigger than we think.
Yeah.
That's the way he was the first time I met him because I was going. Remember Dubonnaise? Okay, it was like a $75 gig in Westchester County, right at like the south end of Westchester. It wasn't that far, Rockland County rather, and like it matters for the story. And we're going. I never heard of this guy, right? And he goes, "Yeah, I'm doing the guy a favor, and he's a good friend of mine. And I'm thinking, well, he's so big, but I don't know him,
Right.
Which is weird. He's big like Joan Rivers big, but he must have gone past my generation, even though he's the same age." And, I just started thinking of things in my mind. I thought I knew all the big comedians. Like, you see them on television
Yeah.
and shit. And I realized he was just bullshit.
Just bullshitting. Because I sort of put that together with some of the guys that might do that. Like, one time there was a band hanging out after a show in Tempe. I don't remember their name. But they weren't doing it. They were genuinely, I figured it out. Because they were talking about a tour bus and a tour. And I went, oh, I don't know who these guys are, but I think they're a band that's, pretty successful.
Right.
And then I asked somebody else, I go, were those guys last night? They go, oh, yeah. And I went online. I'm like, but so I think that, so if I could do that, but it was real, maybe that's what they do.
They were big?
Yeah, they weren't like Rolling Stones big.
They were like
but,
Slayer big.
I don't know who that is. I mean, I heard Slayer is I don't know who
Trying
that
to
is.
think of some medium famous group.
Well, I asked them, I said, who are they compared to comedians? Like, that's what now that I can figure out how big they are. Like someone goes, they're like Greg Proops. If they're, okay, so they have.
So he's got an eclectic following.
Yes.
He's respected and loved, but he
makes
not
a
a
good
household
living,
name.
but not a household name. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, they're the Greg Proops of bands. I go, okay, yeah, so they're good there.
Yeah, but you know who's a household name? Kato Kalin. You know what I mean? That's the thing about it. Remember Kato Kalin?
Of course I do.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, isn't it funny that no matter what we do, we'll never be more famous than Kato Kalin?
But you know what you won't be? People, I always say I don't get starstruck, but I get talent struck. So therefore, he wouldn't do anything for me. But,
Nice guy. I know him from things, but I'm just saying how famous he is compared to
Yeah.
what he's done in the arts.
Yeah.
By the way,
My ride's here. God damn it, I said it first.
fuck, I thought I wrote that stock joke. Imagine being so old you wrote the stock jokes. I think Jimmy Brogan did.
Somebody had to say.
Well, yeah.
We were thinking that would be good to find out where they came from, like
Who ordered the tax?
who ordered the tax.
Oh, God.
Wash them once. They make great hand puppets for your kids.
Yeah,
the T-shirt. Someone said that's Jerry
Todd will be
Seinfeld.
doing children's parties this week. Somebody said that last week when I was working with them. I'm thinking,
Somebody still says that?
Dom will be doing, children's parties. And I'm just like, and actually I am. I am really
Oh,
doing
I'm
them.
sorry.
Yeah, congratulations.
What do you charge?
I can't talk about it on stage.
One night we were having a conversation. I was at the speaking of doing private parties as a comedian, I was at the Tempe, at the Dallas Improv, and there was like a function across the way at the piano
By the
bar.
way, your improv stuff, the films you do on the improv shows, fucking hilarious.
To tell people to shut up?
Well, whatever you do. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen your face, because I know you work a lot of improvs, which, by the way, does not conflict at all with Jamie.
Oh, yeah.
No, he doesn't give. He's happy for people to work. He really is, sometimes these different big organizations try and squeeze each other out. He could give a fuck.
Oh, yeah.
He's still trying to learn English.
Over,
know.
Over the years, there's been clubs that did that. But so we were sitting, and across the way, there's a piano bar. It was rented out by an organization. Like they closed down the place.
Yeah.
And someone said, hey, if they came over here right now and they wanted you to perform, what would you charge them? What would you do it for? Everyone was teasing me because my price apparently was a lot lower. I don't know if everyone else was just puffing up. I said, well, the worst part about doing corporate jobs for me is the anticipation. Waiting. What I don't like the month before I start thinking. They make me nervous. Even though most of the time they go over all right. I said, right now, go over there right now. How long? They said 20 minutes. I said, will you be honest about what you would do it for if I tell you first? Like how much? You're sitting at the Improv. They want you to come over right now, do 20 minutes. That's it. They'll pay you cash.
How far is it?
It's 20 feet away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest with you.
Okay, you'll be on. Yeah, so it's not, you don't have to do it 20 minutes away. They say you can do whatever you want. There's a group of people. They heard you were here. They go, I said, for $1,000, yeah, for 20 minutes, I'd go over there right now and do it. I don't think I would have my manager get me $1,000. So for $1,000, I'm not going to raise it. Would you be honest? Would you, if for $1,000, do you think you would do it?
No, 35,000.
30
minimum.
Really?
Yeah.
No, come on.
Did you ever see my act?
Stop. You're sitting
No, I would do it for 5.
for 5,000.
Yeah.
But if they said 1,500, you go, it's just not worth it.
No.
You know why I say 1,000?
But you know what? It's really worth it, but it's just that, they put you on the spot. And what bothers me is I like when they say, "Here, we'd like you to work for us. Here's the price. How's that sound to you?" Instead of, "Well, what do you charge?" Like like you're a fucking piece of meat. What do I charge? It's like I don't like that. What's your rate? What's any of that shit?
You mean if someone comes up to you after a show or
what
something?
What would you go for? Yeah. First of all, like I hate anything like in a backyard or a bar mitzvah or a birthday party, and they go, would you do it for this? I go, I wouldn't do it for anything. If I'm on the floor, there's no stage. Yeah, but you got a mic. No, thanks. Yeah. Now, if I had 5 kids and I had to do it, Todd, of course I'd do it.
Well, I would say, I meant 5,000. No, I said 1,000. Because I thought, you know what? I go over, it's done in 20 minutes, and then I call that free money. Like I could go buy something. I don't really need to rationalize it. But if it was 2 months out, no, I wouldn't. That's not my price. I don't want anyone to think my price is $1,000.
Oh, you could get it for $800.
No, please.
Call him, Todd Glass. What's your
$500? It's $500. I'm with Brillstein Entertainment, Alex Murray.
Are you really?
Yes.
Will you tell him I said hi? I love Alex.
Will. Alex is the greatest.
Yeah, good guy. I had a gig at a casino, and they paid me, I think, like maybe 10. And it was very good. It was a roast. They flew me in first class. Nice gig, not tremendous, but good, really solid. So Bobby said, "How'd you get that?" And I told him who called me. He goes, "How much should I ask for?" I said, he said, "What'd you get?" I said, "I got 20,000." He goes, "Is that what I should ask for?" I said, "Bobby, not you." I said, "You should ask for maybe 5,000, 2,500." And he's like, fucking believe in me.
I think I would fall for that, too.
I'm totally fucking with him.
Get $500. I remember once someone came up to me after a show. It was 90. It was 1990. I just moved to California. And they would tip
I want to ask you about that move, too, but go ahead.
So sometimes somebody would come up to you and they would tip you, like they would go here, with a date maybe, and I'd always be like, always go, no, I'm not a DJ. No offense to DJs, but no. As and you're puffing up a little, but it's all bullshit. It's almost like the thing about everyone's a whore, you just have a price. Because as he's tipping me, I realized, because you thought it was $10-20, he was giving me $100. I saw it and I went. Yeah. So when he offered it again, I'm like, I took it. So I realized I'm just a whore, but I wouldn't take $10. But once I saw it was $100, I was like, oh, thanks. And then I said, I felt still so cheap, but $100, I'll go out for the night. You have a nice dinner with someone. But then I felt so cheap, I go, you know what I'll do? I'll buy the staff drinks afterwards. They'll appreciate it. I didn't buy one fucking drink.
I thought it had a nice, generous ending. No. I didn't buy one fucking drink. Fuck them. They make money. I make money. I did my standard tip your waitresses. They're working hard for you, which kills.
What were you going to ask me about moving to California?
Well, because I never knew the transition. I was already out here, and I never knew whether you were in Philly or New York and came here. I just never asked you that, and I was just unsure.
New York always scared the living shit out of me. I don't know why.
Did you come from Philly directly to L.A.?
Yeah, I did.
That's pretty ballsy.
You know what you say about that, and maybe it's okay to have moments of being proud of yourself. The other day I was saying I never did anything. Like, people that they climb Mount Everest or something, or they do something, or they do a marathon, or something where they really, and I go, I've never really done anything like that. And a comedian friend, Rory Scovel, goes, you packed up your shit and moved to L.A.
That's takes some balls.
Like, I'll take it. I'm not going to act modest. I'm like, oh my God, I feel good. I did do that. I did. Because it's crazy when you think back about it. With no money, I didn't have a lot of money saved.
Yeah.
And you know what I did, Dom? I was like about 2 months away from moving out here, and I had no money saved at all. And a waitress.
How the fuck did you come out?
A waitress. Well, because speaking of Steve Young, he actually let me stay at his place for like 2 weeks.
He had a place here?
Yeah, he had a place in L.A. And then there was a family. I'll tell this really short. Forget the other story.
I worked at Comedy Factory Outlet, by the way. not the Steve's place. I only worked Steve's place once.
Oh, Comedy Factory Outlet. I thought you meant the Laugh Factory.
No.
Oh, you only worked that once. Maybe that's when I remember you coming over.
Paul Reiser got me the job. That was
Paul Reiser. He was our favorite. He was so nice. Whenever Paul Reiser was coming to the club, we were like little kids because he was going to be friendly and nice.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
But so what happened when I was planning on moving, I didn't have a lot of money saved, and a girl I knew, her parents were visiting for Villanova weekend, and they go, hey, if you want to live with us, that would be great. And I have to be honest, I thought, that would be nice, but you know, they didn't mean
Going
it.
over weekend out here?
I was still
Oh,
in Philadelphia.
okay.
You know, and then my friend Caroline Jones, she goes, oh, my parents are coming in. They want to come see your show. And they came to see my show at the comedy, at Ben Curlin's place, you know? Remember at Curlin's?
Happy-go-lucky Ben?
Yeah. And
Remind me to tell you Ben Curlin's story.
I love any Ben Curlin story.
It's a nice one, but it's interesting. It's philosophical. Go ahead.
So here's what happened. They said, hey, if you're moving to California, if you need a place to live. And I was like, oh, thank you. But I thought that would be great, but they didn't really mean it. Then about a month later, the phone rings, and it's he goes, hey, Todd, it's Carol. Maybe because my dad died in the meantime that they made this extra effort.
Right.
So in that month my dad died, I was still moving out to L.A., and I didn't have any money saved. And he goes, hey, Todd, it's Caroline, it's Randy, Carolyn Jones's dad. I said, hey, how you doing? He goes, what's the matter? Our house isn't fucking good enough for you? And Dom, at that point, I remember going, I knew they were serious, because there's no way they would call me on the phone. I hung up the phone. I was like, fuck. And I lived with them for 2 years. 2 years. And they weren't home ever. They were always on the road. And it was in Anaheim, which sucked. But still,
I
you know
get
what I
it.
mean.
Okay, because I was getting confused with the Villanova thing.
No, they were just out there, but I'm sorry.
Okay.
But they lived in California. They were visiting. I apologize. Yeah. So that's how I did it. That gave me 2 years of a little bit of cushion. And
you know what? I think now I don't know. I'm really remembering this, but I remember you saying you were staying in Orange County. When I first saw you out here, because
you're right.
My best recollection was seeing you at the hallway in the Improv, and just saying hi to you and talking for a brief. And I think that was probably.
Well, guess what? You have a good memory, because after that, I thought when they eventually moved away from L.A., and I thought I'll have to move to L.A. Somebody else who lived in Orange County, another friend of mine's parents who were never there, said it was just crazy. They go, "You want to live with us? You can."
Wow.
So I lived in Orange County. So there you go.
And everybody talks about big breaks. That's a little break that made it. No, but I mean it's true. It's like, what would you have done?
I don't know. Well, at that point, you would go on the road for the improvs, and you would make $800, but they would, I think, pay your airfare and put you up in a condo. So I got enough middle work to scrounge by.
Yeah. Well, what happened to me was I was in Philly and I was playing in basketball leagues, right? So I didn't want to leave Philly completely for New York. And my friend O'Hanlon, do you remember O'Hanlon? He coached he coaches at Lafayette now, but he was coaching, or he's still playing. He's still playing professionally. Did you hear that? It sounded like a fart, didn't it?
Sounds like if you cursed in a movie where they had you.
The fuck kind of show? What kind of people do that? But O'Hanlon, and this is what's really, everybody was telling me you got to move to New York. I wasn't a comedian yet. I was acting at Society Hill Playhouse, and there were no comedy clubs, really. I mean, they had Stars, and they had, it's just probably before you were a comedian, obviously. And anyway, long story short, I say, he says, you got to move to New York, man. Everybody thinks you could be a comedian. I said, but, I don't have the money. He says, I'll give you the money. I go, oh, fuck. That's pressure.
Wait, who said this?
My friend O'Hanlon. So he gives me the money, which at the time was $300 or $500, whatever it was. In those days, that was a lot of money. I had a car, drove up here. I had a fucking Hornet, a yellow Hornet. I don't know if you remember that car. It was an AMC car. I remember Sir Duke playing. Dun, 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 dun. Remember Sir Duke?
I know, when you say that song, I recognize it.
All right, so I'm coming into New York, and as soon as I got to New York, I hit a cab, right? I hit a cab from behind. The guy gets up, he goes, what the fuck? I said, I'm sorry, man. He goes, it's all right, fuck it. And he just keeps driving. I go, wow, I really am in New York. Or like you get in an accident, the guy goes, fuck it. But we got bigger fish to fry. And that was how I moved up here. I went out to Long Beach, and I still played ball with some friends of mine. And it was just weird because my money excuse wasn't any good. It's like the guy calling you and going, what, are you too good to stay here with us? We got a place.
Yeah.
And is this for real? And it was for real.
Yeah, I know.
And mine was for real. And I remember I was trying to think positive, and I thought, wow, 98% of the people in SAG don't work. It's going to be so cool to be one of that 2%. I mean, what are you going to think? I'm going to fucking lose?
Yeah, you don't. When I look back on it, I lived there, and then I finally moved to LA, and I got a place with Dave Rath and Brian Posehn, and Alan Murray was another.
God, you were short in that group.
I know. God, those guys were tall.
Well, that's why you filled that in for me, because I didn't know what happened in that block of time, because I remember seeing you over the years, but I didn't know how, because I never remember you being a New York act.
No, I wasn't.
The natural progression was Philly or Boston to New York or to San Francisco. Remember, San Francisco was big in comedy in those days.
Yeah, that was
and
like
you would even, Boston, San Francisco, New York. But New York was the biggest place, and then their last stop was L.A. And that's why I was always wondering how you got out here and how you became successful out here. How did you get in with the improvs?
You know, I went to the Comedy Store, and I thought that was like the place, that was like a place to go. I came here, and the first club I ever came to was the Laugh Factory. I came in here.
Did you pass?
I didn't even...
Oh, it was a set.
Know, it's so... I just came to see a show.
Oh.
And there was a huge line outside, and I don't remember what happened here, but then I went to the Comedy Store and I got passed on. And it's weird to think about it now. I did not pass.
Hilarious. No.
And I really was bummed. Because that's where Tom Wilson, I thought that was going to be my home. I always fantasized that would be my home.
Did you know Tom from Philly?
I did know Tom from Philly.
I didn't know him from Philly.
Yeah, I did know him, and he was always super nice. And I thought, I was really bummed out. I was like, do I go home? It's weird now because there's so many outlets. But and then I went on at the Improv then 2 nights later, and Bud said, go, call me for spots.
Oh, good.
And then,
that didn't take long.
I thought he'd forget.
That didn't take long. 2 days of fucking sorrow, and then you.
Yeah, but that's a lot. Then when you think it's over, and then when he says calling for spots, you don't know if you're going to get spots or not.
Yeah, but he wouldn't say it. I mean, one thing about Bud, he's almost honest. He's honest at times.
So then I just sort of, but I love it. I love L.A.
Yeah, me too.
I should write a song about that.
I love L.A. too, and you know what's funny about it, Todd, is like some guys from New York act like, what happened to you as an artist? Or boy, have you changed? Because like my thing is, I want people to be happy, and like, is it okay if I'm happy? Can I happen to love both places in different ways? I like living here. I like going to New York at night. I fucking hate New York in the daytime.
Well, you know what I always say, and I'm not talking about someone that's overall happy, but then they miss a place. That's not what I'm talking about. You find you're overall good-spirited. But if you met anybody that goes, fuck LA, they're just so negative about it. Most of the time, if you go, really, I'm going to talk to some of your friends in New York and see if you were good-spirited then. What are the odds you think you're going to call New York and go, hey, make up a name. Hey, Bob's here complaining about how much LA sucks. When he was in New York, because he says he loves New York. How was he there? What do you think the odds are? They're going to go, he was actually great here. He was always in a good mood. No, they're going to go, he was fucking complaining here. That's why he went to L.A. So anybody that is always complaining, I find if you do a little paper trail back to where they're from, they were fucking miserable there, too.
Right. Well, I always get that. You like L.A.?
Me too. That's why I say it like sort of apologizing.
I know.
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry if I'm happy. I'm just happier out here because it's, more celebrities like myself, to mingle and talk at our level, you know what I mean? So you'll find out someday.
Someday,
my dreams come true.
Even just the humidity, everyone talks about. And by the way, I'm sure you're the same way. I was just in New York. I had so much fun in New York, going out at night, the late night, being able to eat at midnight. Like I get it. But everyone talks about the cold. The Chicago cold. You go back to the cold, and the cold blows. But you know what blows more to me? The sticky, gooky, and then one more layer to that, the bugs.
Yeah, we
late
don't have
at
bugs.
night, the bugs, and they eat, and you're scratching, and it's sticky, and you want to fucking scrape your face off because it's so cold.
We'll be back in 2 minutes. Todd composes himself.
Yeah, you forget about that.
Sorry, I brought it up. I didn't know you were going to
don't. Out of all things you bring it. No, don't get me fucking started.
Come back, Todd.
Oh, fuck it.
Oh, come on.
Philadelphia,
We got Todd.
And it's cookie.
Come on, man. Just do the rest of the podcast. There ain't no bugs out here.
There's no bugs out here. It's awesome.
Bugs, they don't want to. They don't even like L.A.
No.
What? Bugs. A bug said to another, "You like L.A.? Come on." That's good. I'm glad you filled that part of your life in for me because I didn't know what happened. I knew you. Now that you still do a lot of.
Do you still do stand up?
You still do whatever that was you were doing.
The worst interview in the world.
Yeah, right.
You still do stand up.
Here's the questions. Let's go over the questions that I'm never going to ask you because. Who was your inspiration? You don't have to tell me. Did you always know you were funny? Guy, you got any like ones you always hear from journalists?
What's your show like?
Yeah, what's your show like?
I finally came up with a good answer for that because someone said if I was able to tell you what it was like, it wouldn't be good.
Right.
So I try to say it in a nice way. I go, well, I always try to think of that answer, but I think if I could tell you what it was like, it would mean it'd been done so many times before.
Yeah. I'll tell you what it's like. It's like, there's 5, 6 comedians.
Yeah, just like that.
Name 5 guys. What do I get with the most? What can I expect to hear from you tonight? What can I expect to hear from you? Like, it's like, I don't know if you get this about bits, but I always get people that are never satisfied. Like, they'll go, how come you didn't do that? Last time I saw it, I said, well, if I did it all the time, people wouldn't be coming to see me because I would have lost my pen.
Yeah, they missed it, but...
I'll try and do stuff to make an audience happy, but in the end, you have to move on from, you can't keep singing the same fucking song.
Will you do a bit if somebody asks?
Yeah.
Like...
If I can. Because, you know what? What the fuck do I got to lose? People are asking, they're heckling me with something loving.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go, no, hey, fine, don't do that. Fuck you. It's like, I'm not going to be a dick about it. I'll do it if I can. I mean...
I like that you'll do it. Because I do like... I like to go see someone if they have well, my standard for new material, I hope it's right, because I remember when I used to go see stand-up comedy, before I even did stand-up, or maybe in the first few years, but I was still going to see acts. Here's was my barometer on what I thought good was. If I went and saw the act a year later and they had half new material or 40, 50% new material, to me that was like, somebody goes, how were they? I'd be like, shit, they had a ton of new material because 40, 50%,
that's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, and if they did half the same, I was happy because I wanted to see some of the classics. So that's sort of, I hope I'm not lying to myself because that's what I always tell people when they go, how much new material? I go, if you see me a year later, I'll probably have like at least 40% new material.
Well, that's good. I mean, the problem with some of the guys, like, and I find this because I do Europe a lot. I mean, especially Ireland, and like some of these guys are really good. But a couple guys, they tell me they need a new hour for Edinburgh. I'm thinking,
hard
but
for
yeah,
me.
but I said, but I feel like, and I'm not going to spoil their fucking parade, but I feel like saying, but your hour now is not that strong. You know what I mean? A new hour. You know what you need? A stronger hour, and maybe 10, 15 new minutes, but develop what you have. They just keep, I mean, I felt like, and this is comedy sacrilege, I felt like George Carlin, as much as I love him and how fucking great he was turning over hours too fast at the end of his life, and they weren't as good as the hours that he had at the beginning. I mean, they weren't really tightened and flushed out. I went to see him at the Stardust in Vegas, and I'm thinking, George, you're fucking better than this. Don't just make new material or just mean shit, about.
Yeah, and if you widen the span to any comedian doing that, that's why, like, look, if somebody said, Todd, you've lied to yourself, 40% new material in a year, that's not good. I would work harder. But for me, I like it at that pace because it naturally happens. And yeah, I don't want to, I'm not, for anybody should do whatever they want. I'm not just saying that because I'm afraid of confrontation. And if you want to do a new hour every year, that's what you should fucking do.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't enjoy comedy if I had to write a new hour every year. It would just seem like I'd be constantly too... maybe my work ethic isn't as high as other people's, but and I'm disguising it as saying I wouldn't enjoy it, but I wouldn't enjoy it.
What do you got coming up? Because this will be on in about 3 to 4 weeks. Just if you have anything you want to plug.
What do I have coming up? I'm doing a big tour with John Doerr and Dimitri Martin in Canada. So, and then...
where are you doing that?
It's just all over Canada.
Okay, because is it for Just for Laughs?
It is for Just for Laughs.
Because I'm doing one in November.
That's when I'm doing mine.
Well, but mine is in Ontario with, I believe, Godfrey and Gabriel Iglesias. It's good they have a white guy on that friggin' show. I mean, it's in Massey Hall in Toronto and a couple other places that I don't know. But what else you got coming up? Anything? I don't mean to put pressure on you. I just want you to plug.
No, the Up Comedy Club. Oh, Up Comedy Club in Chicago. That I'm very excited about because I haven't been to Chicago in a long time.
Where's that at? Because Jamie has a club there, which I'm doing. This won't be on the air, but it's in Chicago. Laugh Factory.
Yeah.
And then I got Governors. Governors and the Brokerage, first week in November, which I love.
Governors is still there.
Oh, not only is it still there, it's like better than ever because now one group owns all 3 clubs. So now you can just go, like one night I'm doing the Brokerage in Belmore, and the next night I'm doing Governors in Levittown.
This is such a long time ago about Governors. It's almost like I think is the price wrong? Like, am I remembering it wrong? Because it just seems, come on, even back then. But I guess any amount of money. I went, they gave me $10. I think it was $10 after my set. And then I ate, and they didn't charge me. They were like, no, put your money away. And then they gave me $10.
Can you break my 10 for a tip?
And I couldn't believe it. I was like telling my friends the next day, I was like.
This was a long time ago.
I was 18 maybe?
I think that's when I met you. You were 18.
I was probably like 18 or...
You were 18 or 19 when I met you.
Yeah. And then I couldn't believe it because I was like, that's why I always remembered, like when you're at a club and they charge, some clubs, they get this or they charge the middle. Let me tell you something. If me telling this story, any club owner that doesn't know it's worth giving the comedians free food.
Remember how he got about the bugs?
Yeah. Oh, I do get this mad about that because it goes a long way. I believe most guys that do the food, like put your money away type of a thing, they do it from a place because they love comedy from their heart. But even if they know they reap the benefits of it, that's okay too. But I think when they don't charge, when they charge for food, I'm like, you just don't fucking get how you put your
Well, charge for food and charge them for drinks. But I'm not saying that the guys should take advantage of it. Just because,
of course not.
Just because they're getting free drinks doesn't mean they should drink Louis XIII.
Yeah, but don't you think it's bullshit when a club says, yeah, we used to give out free drinks, but then blah, blah, blah came in and fucked it up for everybody? No, because if you really knew how important that was, you would say, don't bring back the guy who fucked it up. The guy who took advantage of it never works our club again. You don't really go, now nobody gets free food or drinks.
The thing that cracks me up is 30% off. Like, they're still ripping you off, but they're giving you 30% less than regular people pay. Oh, boy, it really makes you want to drink there.
If you need money from the comedians, shut your fucking doors.
The Improv here...
by the way, I don't necessarily mean in L.A. because there's so many comedians coming in every night. I'm talking about on a road club where there's 3 comedians.
Yeah, but I mean, even in here, it's like when you have... I mean, my relationship with the Improv here is so good that Eddie and Dave will never charge me for a drink.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Rita, with those people here, it's like, I'm not a fuck. I mean, Jamie's my manager, and nobody ever gives a fuck if I'm at the Improv or Comedy Store. There's never been a problem with that. First of all, it's L.A. Fucking 20 million people in this 100 miles. You think 3 comedy clubs can't survive?
Yeah.
But I just think when the 30% thing made me laugh more than anything.
Because just give it away.
Yeah.
If you're at 30%, they're still making some money.
Do you drink?
I'm more of a pot smoker.
Are you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't smoke 7 days a week, but I enjoy pot more than I do drinking. I drink though.
I just got back from Denver, and really nothing's changed. I mean, it's legal there, and they have.
Do you smoke pot?
No.
Have you ever?
Yeah, but not very much. Just a couple. It doesn't make me feel good. I like downs. I mean, the pot that I smoked in the 40s, we called it reefer back. It made me like paranoid, and like I like alcohol and Xanax and that kind of thing. I mean, coffee makes me nervous.
Yeah.
I don't smoke weed, but I always thought it should be legal. I was never against it.
Right.
I mean, it's so much fun. There's no comparison. It's such an old thing, but have you ever heard of a pot fight breaking out in a bar? Have you ever heard of it?
And even some of my friends that are cops, off the record, they're not stupid. They get that driving on a substance is driving on a substance, whether it's pot, whether it's liquor, it's DUI. But they all say the same thing. Virtually never deal with pot as a fight, like you just said, at a bar or...
Oh, yeah.
Virtually never.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, shit, I'm sorry, dude. It's more like that than, hey, fuck you, officer. I didn't do anything. It's like... I'll pass the sobriety test. Yeah,
for me, it's the food that I end up eating. Sometimes I think, are you just wanting to eat that anyway? Now that you're high, you say, "Oh, it's
you
an
use
excuse.
that as an excuse." Yeah.
But I really don't. I'll say to myself, "It's just things taste so delicious,"
Yeah, well, a lot of things are heightened. I mean, I think all drugs should be legal. I don't think anybody starts doing a drug or stops doing it because it's legal or illegal. I don't think there's anybody going, well, now that pot's legal, I'm going to start smoking it. No, who couldn't get fucking pot?
That's what we just said. It's easier to get than liquor. You can't have liquor delivered to your house. So
Right.
how is it going to get any easier than
Yeah.
it already is? Well, that's why I say when people make up fake reasons why they don't want something, they always get cornered because you're not being honest. You know what I mean? Oh,
Yeah.
it'd be too easy to get. And you answer them with a legitimate answer. You go, well, they already delivered to your house. And then that person, you just don't want it. You haven't thought it through why you don't want it legalized. You know what I realize it is with a lot of people? It's not the fucking topic you're arguing about. It's any change at all.
Right.
They just don't want change. So that's the truth. Just go, I haven't really thought about it. I don't want change. I'm like, okay, well, at least be honest with me. Don't make me debate something that you're not going to change your opinion on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you.
No, I didn't take it like that. I felt like you were yelling in a vacuum at the world. And you got upset with the world.
Well, ever since that thing about the stickiness.
So who do you...
my inspiration?
Yeah, who are your inspiration?
You go back.
I had a dream that I was with Woody Allen, and he said to me, he goes, this was last night, and he goes, I love making movies with you, right? Like I make movies with Woody Allen. And in the dream, I thought, don't fucking do an impression of him while you're here, while you're with him. It's going to be embarrassing, and he's going to get annoyed. What does that mean?
Well, it's funny because other people in our business, it's very hard not to do them when you're talking to them. Even if you don't realize you're doing it, like Norm Macdonald's very hard for me not to go like, you know how it comes up indirectly?
You do a good Norm?
I don't do a good Norm, but it's hard not to do a bad Norm.
Yeah.
Hey, you know.
Rodney's like that. Rodney Dangerfield was like that, you know, because Fraser Smith, Harry Basil, all those guys are always, oh, I'll tell you, you're all right. You're all right. Yeah.
I don't know if this is a new Rodney story to you, but it came my new one a year ago that two people came up to him at a casino. They just got married. Rodney, we just got married. What do you think? Oh, you both could have done better. Like, why is that so fucking funny?
Because he's so fucking funny.
But I don't do anybody great, you know. Hey.
You know who's really good? Elon Gold. Did you ever see him?
Well, he was the one that was notorious for doing Rodney, right?
Well, he does everybody.
Oh, he does everybody?
He was doing comedians 10 years ago, like Bobcat and Gilbert and them. And
He was like the James Adomian of his day.
yes.
Because James does...
Who's James Adomian?
James Adomian is a really funny comedian, and he does like Eddie Pepitone and Andy Kindler and Mark Maron. I'm sure he does you. He can do like everybody, and it's like, holy shit, that's good.
Have you done Mark's podcast?
I have.
Fun, isn't it?
It was fun.
You know,
Cathartic, I would say.
I went to dinner with Mark last week, and he was so fucking happy. I was like, I wanted to go, you okay? You know, because like Mark is one of those guys. I mean, I love Mark, and I never dreamed that. I always thought he had something to him. I really did. And I'm not saying that because he's hot now, but it's so you know, people forget that we actually care about each other. I'm so happy for his success. You know what I mean? Because you never knew where it was going to come, but I thought there's something special about him. You know what I mean? And you know, I think that about you, and I think that about a lot of my. You may not believe I actually think that about you from how I busted your chops over the years, but I do. And then when I saw you on those things, I think, hey, he's so fucking funny. When the improv, whatever that thing is that you do, you know, what do you do when the?
I did that like 20 years ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, there's a new one that I don't like so much, but the old one I like it because people need to hear that when they come to a comedy club. They don't know the rules. You got to tell them, you know. You got to make a stance. You don't fucking talk, you know. But what you said about comedians, I always say the same thing. I might get mad sometimes at bad comedy, but I've been doing this 30 years, and I get jealous of people. Obviously, I get jealous of people, but I still get very happy for people, especially when they're cool. And I always say, like, you know, people go, is it cutthroat? I go, you know, I think it depends who you are, because I know a lot of comedians that I hang out with that are unbelievably supportive towards each other and have kind things to say.
Of course you want things for yourself, but why would somebody else's success diminish you unless you went directly for that part? There's a part in Godfather 4 that you were perfect for, and this guy beat you out. Then you go, fuck, he beat me out. But other than that, you know, our competition is ourselves with the audience. It's not like, you know, you're going to diminish. If you get a series tomorrow, how did that affect me? I'll be glad for you. I mean, when Spade was you know, back in the day, and like, I guess it was the early 90s or something, where before David had hit and got Saturday Night Live and all, they asked me, Brad Gray asked me if I could get him to middle for me. I don't even name this. Well, it doesn't matter. It was in Atlanta, the Punchline. And the guy said, you know, he wasn't strong enough. I said, listen, he is strong enough. I guarantee you the kid's got fucking talent. They wouldn't book him. And then I remember him getting Saturday Night Live, and I was like, fuck you, you know? But, I mean, in their defense, they got somebody saying that every, 100 times a day.
Yeah. Some of those acts that were more mellow always scared some of the clubs,
Yeah, yeah.
They're the ones that just weren't up there. But you know what? Their acts stand the test of time better than some of the other
David
acts.
has had, 4 hit TV shows, 3 or 4?
What was his first one that he did?
Spin City?
Was it Spin City?
I don't know. I mean, he's always on television.
Yeah. And then Rules of Engagement, and then he was on the 8 Simple, I forget all the shows.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, he's been around. It's funny because he's one of those guys that like everybody, everybody, whether you could be for any age, any, religion, everybody, when you walk through like a casino, that's how long, one of those guys been doing it so long, everybody recognizes Dave.
Yeah,
Me,
Well, I have the same thing. I have like where I'm at gate 9 and nobody knows me. I'm at gate 10 and there's a line for autographs and pictures. So I know what it's like from both perspectives, Except I'm in Philly, Wildwood. That's my turf.
Wildwood.
What happened?
God.
Why did you stop doing Mark's Club?
You know what? I had a great talk with him about a year ago out of nowhere. Like Chris Kosher was working there, and I picked up the phone and said hi to him. I don't know why, because there were some great memories down there. Even the accommodations when you stayed above the place. And
One night I stayed there.
only one night?
Then I went to the Bins.
Was that a hotel?
Right across the street. That's the first time I ever had sex with Sophie. Remember Sophie?
Of course, from Montreal.
Yeah. First time I ever had sex. This is how much the girl loved me. She fucked me at the Bins, where the air conditioner was. You could dry your hair by laying in bed. The air conditioner was right on the bed. Like one of those window air conditioners. So fucking horrible.
I stayed above, for the people listening. There was a comedy club, and above it, the owner, they had like 4 apartments, and they tried to clean them up because they knew comedians were going to stay there. And I had a Newfoundland at the time, which is like a Saint Bernard but all black. And I brought her down with me every so often. I brought a window unit. Speaking of window units,
did you really?
And I put it in there.
Did it have enough electricity to?
You know what? That's what I was like. Every time it went on, and I was hoping no one knew it was me. Eventually, they found out I had air conditioner. They didn't care, but I was nervous. Yeah, it was one of those things with a power surge and all the lights would come down.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Come right back on. But because I had to leave an air conditioner on because Murphy needed it. Because she was a big Saint Bernard dog. But yeah, being able to I remember literally sometimes oversleeping, and they would come upstairs you're on in 2 minutes, and you could get dressed, go downstairs within 30 seconds, and be on stage. And you were there a lot.
Yeah,
you went on a few times as a brand new comedian that had never done comedy, and your nickname was Razor.
You remember that?
Yeah, and it was so fucking funny. The crowd didn't know, because they didn't know. This is a long time ago.
Yeah,
and you could get away with that.
Yeah, and they were laughing at me as opposed to with me, and they didn't know that I was fucking with them.
Yeah, and then I think you broke. Didn't you break?
Sometimes I would break character and start doing Fritzy Anderson, the lounge comedian.
Yeah.
I'd go from that to 100 jokes. Oh, what do you call a dog with no legs? Nothing, no matter what you call him, he ain't coming. No, is this thing on? Is this thing on? Remember that?
Oh, fuck, you kidding me? We were obsessed with that. Then that's why I asked if you did bits that people asked you to do, because I don't
they've
talk
asked me to
that.
do Fritzy.
Do you?
Yeah.
That would break every time. The whole thing was funny, but that one isolated moment, I don't talk like that.
Do you?
Do you?
Tu pinche loaf, tu capa squat. I got that. My sister was very good at editing comedy and seeing something potential. And I was doing that at the Trop, Comedy Stop at the Trop, and I was just making it up that night. Excuse me. And she goes, that I don't do you, it's really funny.
Yeah.
I said, why? She goes, I don't know, but it is.
I don't do that. Do you?
Do
it was
you?
very
I
with
don't. Do you?
Do you?
Oh, Todd, the laughs, the joy. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. This was fun.
I wanted you to come back alone. I mean, it was fun with David, and that was a fun little thing. But I want you to come back in 6 months or something and tell me more about your life, and we'll talk about other things. But it's always fun to have somebody that you have a history with. Because we have a real history.
Yeah.
I mean, we fucking seen each other.
That we've known each other. I've known you more. When you get to the point in someone's life, you go, I've known you more than I've not known you in my life.
I know.
Isn't
that weird?
I know.
I've lived in L.A. longer than I lived in Philly.
Me too.
Yeah. Isn't that
Me
strange?
too. It is strange. It is. Because you have that moment where you're like, oh, yeah, I've lived here. Sometimes, you show your age, so you're telling someone a story and you start shaving years off of it. Just you don't want them, they're over there doing the math. You're like, maybe I think it was about 15 years ago. It might have been 30 or something.
Well, you're getting old when the young comedians are old. You know what I mean?
Well, who you thought was? I remember like my friends' little brothers. Now they'll come up to me after a show, and I'm like, wait a second, I look younger than you now. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're happy out here.
I am. I still love fucking stand up. I love seeing it. I love being around new stand-up comedians. I think there's a ton of funny new stand-ups.
So do
More
I.
now in the last 10 years than there were in the 80s when there was like this new stand-up comedians would come on. It was like a very formulaic thing. Now in the last maybe even 5 to 8 years, there's so many new, funny fucking...
I agree.
Why do I have to curse? Younger comedians. Some are 20, some are 23. And I love hanging out with that energy because they're excited about stand-up as much as you are. Because even though I've been doing it 30 years, I love it.
Well, that's why you're still good. Because if you got bitter, there's nothing fucking worse than a bitter, unfunny comedian.
Ooh.
If you're gonna be bitter, you better be fucking brilliantly bitter.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
I just, the thing is, I agree totally about the new guys because there was a dearth in talent for a few years, and then it built up again. And here's a sentence I never thought I'd say. There was one point where Pauly Shore and I were the only guys at the Comedy Store that were doing TV or movies or anything. I was doing TV, and I thought I'd never put me and Pauly in a sentence like that together. He's going to do the show, by the way. That should be interesting.
I remember seeing, that's who I saw here. The first comedian I ever saw was Pauly Shore here.
Well, what was funny, it was smart about him, was he came here before he went to the Comedy Store because his mother owned the Comedy Store, so he wanted to make sure, which is really good foresight of him, he wanted to make sure that he was good enough to be on stage and polished before he went there, and so people couldn't say, your mom gave you spots. You know what I mean? So Jamie put him on, and it used to be Paul Mooney, and this is before I did this place.
Yeah. I didn't know who he was. All I remember was sitting in there, and he was very comfortable on stage. I was like sitting right over in that area. This club looked a little different then, but I thought, God damn, he's like really comfortable, and he was conversational. And then later, someone told me, "Oh yeah, that's Mitzi's
Well,
son."
Originally this club was only half of it, and the seats used to face that way. And there was a Chinese restaurant, I think, here. I never played it then. Then they opened it up, and it's changed over the years. Yeah, but you should come in here and do my show. It's called Breaking Balls with Dom Irrera, and I had Rogan on last week, and Bill Burr was on the week before, and those guys love it. Especially, Joe. Joe's one of my best friends and strongest friends. I like to have a friend who could beat the fuck out of the bouncers. And Bill Burr loves it because he can finally let loose with the crowd. What it is basically the rules are off. People want to talk, they talk. And I said, take fucking pictures if you want, record. I don't give a fuck what you do, right? It's because the girl will come out and she'll say all the rules, none of this. I go, fuck that. Talk if you want.
How long do they do?
Well, Rogan does a little longer. He'll do like 20, 25. But most of the acts do about 10, and then we talk for 10.
I know we're wrapping up, but I always said
we're cool.
You mentioned Bill Burr because that comes up a lot. Like, seems like if you're in New York, I would like to go see Bill Burr do an hour. I don't do it that often, but it seems like in LA, it's hard to go see that. Like if you're in New York, you maybe go to Caroline's and watch someone do a long set. I did see Doug Stanhope over at the Comedy Store do an hour, and I really enjoyed it. But Bill Burr is someone that some of the kids that work on my podcast, we were talking about him.
I don't like an hour of anything, of anybody, even myself. No.
Sometimes I like, what it is? Because you see like a lot of guys you really like, but they're doing 10 minutes in LA, 12 minutes. I like to see them when they're like fucking doing what they do on the road, and it's fun to go see that sometimes. You don't always get to see that. But anyway, that had nothing to do with anything.
Well, Bill is as good as it gets, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think, it's like in art, when you judge things, we all judge things. I don't think there's anybody better than him. It's just there might be, in my taste, but there might be people as good as him. Rogan and Bill are very comparable level-wise and laugh-wise, but it's who you like better. You can't argue taste, you know what I mean?
I'm a big Bill Burr fan. I like, what was I just going to say?
Now, after I said what I said about Bobby Collins and Shoemaker, what do you think of them as acts? Okay. Let's move on to the...
I love everybody.
Do you really?
No, I don't mention... I don't...
Mention. If there's ever a time to mention, my show is known for its pettiness.
I'll tell
its
you...
gossip.
I'll tell you what my brother said. I never mention acts. I really don't, because some people I don't like their acts, but I really like them. Some people both. I don't like them or their acts, but most of the time, it's. But I'll tell you who I don't like.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you what it is, and then I know we gotta go.
We don't have to go.
Okay, I like saying it this way because I think for the naysayer, there'd be like someone like Andy Kindler that criticized a lot of acts.
I hate Andy Kindler.
No, you don't.
No.
Somebody might say,
favorites.
somebody might think, oh, what do they think? They're so great. And no, it's not that. And my brother said it really about teaching, which I think explains the same thing about comedy. My brother said this about teaching, and it applies. So here's what he said. He goes, it's not the teachers that I despise that have a completely different way of teaching than me. They care, but it's completely different than the way I teach. You would think, wouldn't they be the teachers I would fucking hate? He goes, no. Them, it's just they teach differently than me, but they care. It's the teachers that don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't give a shit. And I went, that sort of applies to comedy for me. There's a lot of acts it's not my thing. I don't hate them. But if somebody doesn't give a fuck, I'm sorry that I really fucking like comedy, And when I see someone that just doesn't give a shit, it's all tricks and manipulation. No, I don't think I'm the best fucking comedian. I hope I keep growing, but I give a shit. I give a fuck.
Yeah, but I don't think there is a best comedian. Like I said a couple minutes ago, I think that you're.
But you know what I meant by that. I'm not judging.
But I mean, your reputation, and I'm not making it the Sammy Moylan show all the time. Your reputation is everybody likes you, and everybody thinks you're a terrific stand-up. You know what I mean? Like everybody, and I certainly behind your back am much more loving towards you than I've been in front of your face, just because I'm a ball buster.
Well, you know what somebody said once? I loved it. They go, oh, you should fucking hear what I say behind your back. You'd love me. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's because if it's the other way around, I
know, like, to be a name dropper, like Tosh loves you, and the guys anybody that, because I was talking about who I thought would be good on the show, and I knew that you would be good on the show because you're alive and you're creative, and I don't have to worry about the worst thing, Todd, and you have a show, you have a podcast.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The Todd Glass Show.
I like the name.
Yeah.
But
I could have called the Glass Cast, but I don't want to go with any puns.
But if you ever want me for the show, I'd be glad to do it. And if you don't, I love you anyway. You come back here. What do you do?
It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. It's sort of like
that's not good.
It's not. No, it is good. Remember, we already discussed that.
No, the show's good, but it's not good that you can't explain it.
Oh, it is hard to explain. No, I mean, it's good if you can't explain it, because remember what I said? That means maybe it's different.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
But it's called The Todd Glass Show. I love it. It's my next to stand-up, it's one of my favorite things to do.
What do you do? My thing is bullshit and getting to know the comedian.
We do a lot of bits. I like to have a format, since I could do whatever I want. Like in my stand-up, I don't like to be preachier than funny. If I have something to say socially, it better be fucking funny. But on the podcast, it doesn't have to be.
Basically, you think I'm not right for your show.
No, I think you would have
I'll be honest with you. I said I would do it, and you didn't respond.
Well,
so basically, what you're telling me is, even though I want you on my show again, even with that hurt that you drilled me with, you don't want me on your show.
First of all, I do, but I will tell you
no,
this.
You don't.
Sometimes on my what would I on my to? On my mom's health. How's that? Because I wouldn't lie. I don't believe in God, but I would never swear on someone that I love. It's not going to do anything to them, but it's hard for me to do it. I do get nervous with certain guests. Like, will it be like too silly? Like, when you said you get high, you get paranoid. That's how I get not being high when I do my podcast. But you would be unfucking believable on it. So,
but how come you never asked me? This is where I'm hurt.
Come on, we did the whole show and all went. The other reason is I am podcast shy. Even though I love the formula of podcast, I think it's the best thing that ever happened to, you could say radio, because that's what it is. It's the best thing that ever happened to radio. I'm afraid that people are podcasted out sometimes. So I get nervous to ask people. But once they say what you just said, then I'm not afraid. So you better be careful. The phone's going to ring now. And
I want it to ring. Where do you shoot it?
I do it. There's a called Black Horse Motors. It's like a exotic. They have like old Testarossas and Lamborghinis, and upstairs there's a big brick. Brick loft, and we do it in there. We have a band. We have
what part of LA though?
It's basically Fairfax and Pico would be the closest cross.
It's a little far. I like to do it, but I really, you know.
Well, I mean, I would come to your house. I wouldn't mind coming to your
Really?
house. No, it's like you're gonna still make an excuse. Oh, my house.
My house is not good. It's got bad sound system.
Oh, well, you know what I'll do? I'll just rent a sound stage, and then you'll
you
come
know, I
there.
hate for you to spend the money. Well, you know, Bob Zaney was on my show, and he told me that he says, "Will you do my show?" And I said, "Of course." But then I found out it was like Howard Hughes Highway near the airport. And if I'm going to the fucking airport, I want to fly somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. So now I've been like Donald Duck on them.
Sometimes I feel bad if somebody even has like a
Have you done
one-nighter
his?
and
Have
it's
you
in.
done? Have you done Zany's?
I did.
It's far, isn't it?
It ends up not, in case he watches, it ends up it's not that far, but I'm not going to lie to you. I had a great time, but yeah, whenever anybody says certain places, I'm always like, like even when someone has a one-nighter, or whatever, like a mic, or an open mic, and they say, oh yeah, it's in Silver Lake. I'm always like, ooh, wow.
How much do you go for those one-nighters? You know what cracks me up when people go, they see you working at these clubs, and they go, well, you want to come to do like my laundromat, and it's really fun, but there's no pay. I'm going, why the fuck would I want to go there when I'm a quarter mile away from every fucking great club in Hollywood?
Some of them are not, great, obviously. The reason maybe, some of them end up being, there's some niche little places around LA right now, like the Living Room Show, or, there's a Brouhaha. It's right near it's sort of close to the Improv.
You would have loved what I did to Tosh one night at the Living Room. We went to eat at Frankie's across the street. I said, you want to go over and see the show? And the guy says to me, you want to go on? Daniel didn't want to go on.
Oh, you went to the Living Room Show?
I've been there quite a few times, yeah. And they have the most beautiful audience I've ever seen. They're all like models.
And they're also like, they're there. They watch the show like they're watching theater.
Yeah.
They just sit there. They're so polite and they're so loving.
But Daniel comes, we walk backstage and the guy wants me to go on, and Daniel doesn't want to go on. And I say, I'm up there for maybe 2 minutes, and I just wasn't connecting with the crowd. And I go, I got a treat for you guys, right? I got a special treat. Guess who's here with me? Daniel Tosh. Right?
Does he go up?
Well, yeah, he had to. I go, I'm going to bring him up for you now. No, they didn't really believe me he was here. Then he comes out and he goes, you motherfucker, right? And I'm sticking my head out. You know how the stage is and the curtain? You're like,
I just pulled some trees out of my hair. Sorry.
That's sad.
Go ahead.
You got to watch that once in a while. No, but I paint Tosh and I said, like I'm just looking out while he's still on stage. You're doing great. Get the fuck away. Well, I was here the night. I know we got to close.
The whole fiasco.
That was me.
You were here that.
Not only it was my fault, and not the whole thing is my fault, but he wasn't. He came in to get something to eat with me, and I know I've told this story on the show before. He was not going to go on. He did 2 shows. He did his own show. I saw you down there, as a matter of fact. You were down at his show one time.
Yeah.
I came down to see it.
I go for the craft services.
Oh, it's delicious. You can't miss. It's a nice meal. I take somebody. I take a guest. But anyway, he's walking out. He comes to get me. He's always worried about how much I drink. How many, and I lie to him like he's a cop. I two glasses of wine. All right. So we're walking out, and I go, hey, Phrase, Tosh is here. And the crowd goes crazy, and he goes, oh, you son of, like he knows, you should know better than to walk out with me. And that's how that happened. That's how that night happened, because then he comes up, he wasn't ready, and he says the thing, and Daniel doesn't think rape is funny. It was just off the top, and because if he was famous, that's why it made the news.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened. That's why I say I could say anything I want, and I'll be fine.
Just don't use the N-word. Ooh.
There we go.
Todd, it was great having you on. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Dom.
Todd Glass, everybody. Go see him if you can. He's all over the world, all over the country.
And we'll be back.
Tom Irrera, live from the Laugh Factory. See you next week with a bigger act.